Welcome to the Finding the Magic podcast, where books come alive. I'm Tricia Copeland, a fiction author and host of this show. If you love books, finding great reads, and hearing about the story behind the story directly from the authors, this is the place for you. Whether you like fantasy, science fiction, dystopian, or romance titles, I think you'll find something to love in my playlist. Listen in to discover something magical about a book or two today.
Hi, Aaron.
Hey, Trisha, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. It's Friday, so no complaints. We're going into a fun weekend.
Yes, all good. So this is Aaron Ryan. He is a sci-fi and dystopian author. We met on Bonnie Graham's Radio Red show, I believe, a little bit back. So I asked you to come on my podcast so I could learn much more about your books. Where do you want to start? Because you have several series.
Well, let's not start at conception because that's a really long time ago. That's like 50 plus years ago. So we can start a little forward. Like maybe when I learned I wanted to be an author or something. I don't know. Whatever you want
When
to talk
you
about.
learned you want to be an author, was that after your conception?
After I was conceived, yes. Nothing
Oh,
really
yes,
happened
that's
before
good.
I was conceived. Yeah.
No, at least
No,
not
I
in the brain that you have now.
not in the brain I have now. It's totally evolved. I have like it's three different distinct origin stories. In a nutshell, one, reading Lord of the Rings, big Lord of the Rings fan. So there you go. And so like it just totally blew my mind. It was like, wow, I'll never be Tolkien, but it blew my mind in terms of the scope, the majesty, the world building, the character development, the narrative, everything. And then I completely forgot. I was in a young authors club when I was like 10 years old. Mom mailed me a news article, and I just, all these memories come flooding back. You're like, oh my gosh, I forgot all about that. But really, the one I like to tell people is in second grade, I was given an assignment. We all were by Mrs. Walker. Hi, Mrs. Walker. And it was to write a little novella. I remember writing it and going, holy cow, I made this, and showing people like, look what I made. So it's not a surprise that I'm an author at all.
That's very cool. I talk to so many authors and they all have great stories like this. And I'm like, I don't have anything like that. I hated writing until I was like 24. So
Yeah, well,
anyway, I'm a weirdo.
yours is far more complex than I could ever even like wrap my brain around. Your writing and what you create is just, oh my gosh. I stick to fiction.
Uh, Yeah, maybe. Yeah, real life is harder than fiction, right? That's why we write fiction.
That's right. Yeah.
So I would love, let's start with your Dissonance series. Aliens, start me off.
Well, so I wanted to write a single novel. Um, I was basically, my wife and I were watching I Am Legend. We'd seen it before. Good movie, great movie. And I just remember watching it and being struck by the eerie dystopian silence in the beginning of that movie. Lions roaming the street, 6 foot, weeds growing up through the cracks. It's an eerie silence up above, and it's a ghost town. Everyone's been either killed off or they've been living underground, eking out an existence in the shadows. And I thought, it's such a cool premise, but what if the premise wasn't a vaccine gone wrong, turning into zombies, but an alien invasion? So that began this foray into dissonance, which now has resulted, for those joining us visually, uh, six novels. I wanted to write one. It ballooned into a trilogy that then demanded two prequels and a sequel.
Oh.
Um, there's so much story to tell, and there was so many threads of the story, and I love the story and the characters. So it grew and grew, and then this one right here, Volume One Reality, has been adapted for the screen, and it's being pitched to streaming networks right now. So
Ah, that's
I'm
super exciting.
yeah, I'm so excited. I can't wait.
Okay, so tell us the main characters and a little bit about what we expect from each book.
Well, Cameron Jet Shipley, Jet is his nickname, is basically a cynic. He's a war-hardened soldier who's been living underground for 16 years, like everyone else has, because the Gorgons, that's the aliens, these guys are here, they're not very nice, and they find us delicious. And so we have to stay underground and perform occasional, recon missions up to the surface for food, ammo, and survivors. They're not much. He's a cynic. He's distrustful. He is a little bit proud because he has survived all this time. He is he is a little vengeful because he's lost so many people, family, dear ones close to him, and it's been hard, living underground without the sun and all that stuff. So Trudy is his love interest. You don't really find that out till book two, but that's a spoiler. His little brother Ruddy, 19, just doesn't worship him. They kind of do this, but it's such a cool friction, and they love each other. They're the last members of their family. Liam Foxy Mayfield is a refugee that they stumble upon, who eventually becomes another brother of Jet's of sorts. Joe Bassett is a hardened staff sergeant from another blockade in Georgia. And so they all kind of come together and work together, and they find a discovery that helps kind of turn the tide of the war. But it doesn't happen right away. It's going to take some work.
Yeah, I can imagine. So a little bit dystopian as well as the sci-fi aspects going on here as well.
Yeah, definitely. Dystopian is so you hear dystopian, you think of like Hunger Games, right? And the power differential between the elite and the have-nots. And in some respects, that's true, but it's much more post-apocalyptic than dystopian.
Oh, okay.
The end is a Christian dystopian saga with a man who's at the top, who has all the power, all the charisma, all the resources, all the riches, all the armies at his disposal, and there's everyone else is fighting for scraps. But post-apocalyptic, something bad has happened, and the only thing you really have left is hope. And that's definitely the calling card for Dissonance for sure.
Okay, well, thank you for making that distinction, because sometimes I kind of just group all those in with dystopian. So I guess that is a
They're
little
very
different.
close. Yeah, very neighborly for sure.
Mhm. Fine. And so what are the prequels? Do the prequels show the alien story? I mean, I'm kind of intrigued by the aliens now, but I guess they would be the bad guys and you would be giving their backstory somehow, maybe.
Yeah, well, it's like the book series isn't a referendum on politics or the times that we live in or anything like that. But in the purple one up here, which is volume 3, that's Dissonance volume 3, Renegade. She's not a Gorgon, she's a human, but we end up fighting a battle on two different fronts. So we're fighting him against the Gorgons, but we're also fighting against her. She's fouling up the works. And truthfully, the worst enemy of mankind is always mankind. We need to get out of our ways. You'd think 16 years after an alien invasion, we'd be working together to try to kick these guys to the curb. But there are always those who are power hungry and are, personal ambition and blah, blah, blah. So, but that's the main trilogy. The sequel, volume 4, Relentless, that explores more of where the Gorgons come from, their home planet, why they came, why they're here again, spoiler. But what's going to happen again. These two prequels are basically the origin story of when they came,
Okay.
how humanity was eviscerated. 85% of mankind was killed off when they came, and we find out, why they're here. We find out what they can do, which is horrific, and just it's more kind of a scrabbling for survival in the very beginning, weeks and months and years.
I can imagine. Yeah, it's interesting that you talked about Tolkien and the epic fantasy, and really what you've done is something much different. I mean, it's more sci-fi. I mean, I guess it is
Much.
sci-fi. And do you consider it like hard sci-fi, or do you consider it more sci-fi fantasy-ish?
That's a really good question. There are some elements that are definitely hard sci-fi. For example, Dissonance Volume 4, Relentless, when they come back, it explores all this, telemetry and, right ascension and declination coordinates from out there in space, and all the, like the trajectory that they're coming from, and the craft's suborbital approach and the speed at which it's coming. It's all this analysis that's being done, right? Scientific analysis. But there are definitely fantastical elements in there. The Gorgons are a mythological creature in Greek, like Greek mythology. Medusa, the Gorgon,
Mhm.
that's what they're named after. She's their namesake because, like Medusa, you cannot ever look a Gorgon in the eye. they have a telepathic paralytic. They will immobilize you where you stand, eat you at their leisure. You're sentient. You're going to feel every excruciating bite while
Oh,
you can't move. So we're like, someone observes casually in number the blue one here. They observe what they do. Hey, it's kind of like that crazy Medusa. I won't say it on air, but that's why they're called gorgons. Is that's a common frame of reference.
okay. Well, obviously, I mean, the humans named them Gorgons. They didn't name themselves that, right? Or did they?
Right. No, you find out in the Talisman series over here that there are other cultures across the multiverse who've also encountered them, and one culture calls them the Srithash. So that's their term for them, but they're kind of a galactic scourge for sure.
Okay. Yeah, they're bothering everyone. That's interesting. I was looking at your website and I didn't realize the Talisman was connected to the Dissonance series.
It is, in fact, well, Talisman is a direct spin-off of Dissonance.
Okay.
One of the characters that I just mentioned actually becomes the main protagonist in the Talisman saga. But I have a character named Pastor Rosie, who is a wise septuagenarian sage. She is very powerful in terms of insight and understanding, the human condition. And so I loved her so much. She's actually in Talisman after a fashion. She's in the end. She is in the Phoenix Experiment and the Slide and Forecast. So she's a book traveler, and she unites them all together in what I affectionately call the Aaron verse.
Oh.
So they can all peaceably coexist.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing that you've gotten so much traction out of this like one idea of what if there were aliens. I mean, obviously alien stories have been done before, but putting your own spin on what that looks like and how that happens and how we survive.
Yeah, you just hope. People ask me all the time, and I do mean all the time because I do a lot of interviews and I do vendor markets where I sell the books, and they always ask me, especially at alien centric events or UFO centric events, do you believe they exist? Do you believe there's life, elsewhere? And I believe in a God who is big enough for that. Surely, if he wants to have life on another planet, he could do that. I just hope that when we do meet them, they're more like ET than Gorgons.
Yes.
I mean, cuddly and maybe wrinkly, but still cuddly and not paralyzing us and eating us.
Well, it was interesting because I was just talking to my son yesterday and he was like, Mom, did you hear the conspiracy theory about aliens on Antarctica? I'm like, oh, no, I haven't heard that one. But it must be, somebody must think they're aliens on our Antarctica. So there's that to think about.
I hadn't heard that one. What was it? The drone thing that happened last year or early last year or something. And there was all these mysterious drones over the East Coast. And so I love those stories. I loved Close Encounters of the Third Kind when I was a kid. I still love that movie. I think it's brilliant. And I'm really looking forward. That was Spielberg. I'm really looking forward to seeing Spielberg's Disclosure Day coming up this summer. But the funny thing is that when I wrote the very first one, Dissonance Volume 1 Reality, I penned it in 2023. It's set, the Gorgon invasion is set June 6th, 2026. So we have, 8 days until they come.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's scary. They don't attack for 3 months after they arrive. So we have time.
Okay,
But,
so we have 98 days
we have
basically to get
98
our
days.
affairs in order and soak up the sunshine because I'm very worried about the sunshine. I'm a sunshine person. I mean,
Yeah.
I live in Colorado. It gets gray for one day and we're all like, what's going on? The sky is falling.
I can imagine. Yeah, no, soak up the sun because if you're gonna live underground for 16 years, you're gonna want to
Oh.
get some vitamin D in you before you go. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be saving my vitamins to take with me. Well, it's funny. I have this thing that I do. I mean, I love to run and hike and exercise, but and like in 2020 I had this thing and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to like run 2 more miles every day or something." And I was running a lot. And my husband's like, "What are you preparing for?" And I was like, "The zombies. That's what I'm preparing for." So if
That's
I
so
can
funny.
run If I can run faster than the person next to me, I'll be good.
Yeah, but you also need to carry like a seasoning packet or a sauce packet or something like that that you can sprinkle on other people around you as you pass
Oh,
them, right?
okay.
You want to
That's
make
good to
them
know.
savory. Yeah, make them savory while you're miles ahead of the pack.
Right. So, but for your aliens, I need some like an eye cover device so they can't look into my eyes, correct?
Correct. And people
Okay.
have asked me, well, what happens if you're blind? And well, they're going to eat you. They're going to catch up to you and eat you. They're horrifyingly fast. But yeah, you do need something. And we discover that we invent that technology that
Oh.
repels the Gorgon signal. So thank God for, good scientists and people who are engineers.
And
So
working underground too, right? Like, I mean,
yeah.
did the people didn't know this was going to happen? So how did they get all the machines underground?
So the backstory is that we had 3 months to prepare, and in someone's prescience, they decided if these guys are hostile, we are going to need to do something quick. So if you remember the big Bertha drills that they used, there's one they used to hollow out a section of Seattle and create a big new underground subway system. They're self-propelled drills, and there are several of them. So there aren't a whole lot of blockades all over the world, but we created blockades that we drilled out and tunneled out the underground, brought as much supplies as we could down there, food, rations, hydroponics, equipment, showers, water, agriculture, in order to prepare these really quickly in case they proved dangerous and nefarious, which of course they did, sadly.
Okay, yeah. So I just figured out where I can get my sunlight. The grow lights are like sunlight, right? They're very close.
Yeah, you lay under those forever, you'll be just fine.
I'll probably get skin cancer, but I will be happier.
Yeah, it's a blessing and a curse, isn't it? There's always a dark lining on the silver.
They always give that to us. So
Yeah.
one fact that you just said just like blew my brain. You published the first book in 2023, and now there are 6 of them in
Yeah.
3 years. Oh my goodness. Did you have like a couple of them written before that point, or have all these been written since?
No. And I'm very proud to say I have not used, nor will I ever use AI to write any part of any of my stories. So the full disclosure is that I'm a voice actor, and voiceovers are being eroded every day. The common culprits that we've had, the usual suspects, I guess, have been things like lowballing clients, underbidding colleagues, the economy, COVID. But in 2023, we had to now deal with the open market infiltration of AI with OpenAI and ChatGPT and things like that. And then we had the SAG after a strike. So it's been this slow erosion of industry rates and the quality and quantity of jobs. Our income has drastically been reduced. I've lost, beloved longtime production professional partners that I've worked with that have hired me over and over, and they're gone. So I've been propelled by urgency. I remember sitting in my chair, turning around and like, God, what do I do? And I just had this revelation. I'm a creator. I have to create. And every major vocation I've had has been about storytelling. So yeah, I've written like a madman over the past few years. It wasn't just Dissonance. I wrote Forecast in 2024. I wrote the publishing guide in 2024. One or two of the kids' books in 2024, I believe. And everything else has either, yes, I've had some business materials that I published for voiceovers, and I took some of those materials and formed the superhero Anomaly. Reflections is a book of poetry I'd written years ago. So some things that are kind of rehashed and repackaged, but the overwhelming majority is all brand new.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I was when I was like when I was in my quote unquote obsessed state with writing or with my books and my characters, I was able to publish like 3 books a year, but that's been my max. So I'm not sure how you sleep.
Sleep. Yeah, word sounds like it should mean something to me, but I'm losing it.
Well, sometimes that fuels creativity, right? Your brain does weird things when you're
Yeah,
stressed or excited or challenged.
it does, but it's like I think there are people that just work so much better under pressure. And I mean, yes, when I say I'm propelled by urgency, that's totally true. But it's like I just feel like when the steam is rising, when the pressure is building up, and you see that needle going higher and higher on the analog, clock thing, that's when I work best. I just kind of like, let's do this. Even yesterday, I was sitting here with such a boring day because no voiceovers, nothing's happening. I'm not quite ready to write my next novel, although I got the outline there. I just said, I need to be speaking more. I really have I've got several speaking gigs under my belt and high profile conferences that I've done. And I kind of let that languish for a little while. So I said, let's do this. Let's do some more and start expanding and re-pursue this in more grandiose fashion. So because the pressure's on, that's why I did it.
Right, fine. Yeah, I am the same way. Like I'm self-published, but I have deadlines for myself because I plan out, I reserve my editor and all those people. So then at least I have a deadline for myself. And if I know I have that deadline, I have to make that deadline. And then I think the adrenaline kind of fuels my creativity or my writing or something. So yeah, fine.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I won't say anything else. I'll just say I totally agree.
So the Talisman is a spin-off of Dissonance, and then you have The End. Talk to me about
Yep.
that one, that series.
Yeah, the end. So when I finished uh, Dissonance in particular, I felt very convicted by the marginal profanity that I incorporated in there. I'm a Christian. I say that, not cringely, like I'm very proud of that. But writing Dissonance, I really wanted it to be, I wanted it to have verisimilitude. I wanted it to be, attainable, and like this could actually happen. Nonetheless, if a gorgon is going to come at you, is going to eat you, you don't say things like, "Oh shucks," you know. You might say something else more colorful. So but I felt convicted about that, and I'll never say the f bomb. I'll never take the Lord's name in vain. I just don't do that. I don't need to, and my readers don't need it. But I felt convicted, and I literally felt God telling me when I was done with that, I want you to write clean Christian fiction. So I was like, okay. And he doesn't sound like James Earl Jones or anything like that. I just was like, you should do this. And I was inspired by the Left Behind series of the 90s. So I wrote it, and it turned into the most redemptive story I've ever written. Um, it's loaded with, Christians will really appreciate it because it's loaded with scripture and heart and redemption. But man, that also has been adapted for the screen. And that has won entrance into, I think, 5 or 6 film festivals so far and garnered 3 or 4 awards. So I'd love to see that one on screen as well. It's just I love I never know which one do I like more. Do I like Dissonance? Do I like The End? I never know. They're really powerful, both of them.
Yeah, it's hard to choose the book that people ask me like, what's your favorite book? And I'm like, well, probably the last one I wrote, but you can't, I don't want to give up the other ones either. So, right.
Yeah,
Wow.
they're
And
all your
what do
favorite.
you
It's like,
not do?
yeah.
Do
Well,
you do the audiobooks for your own books?
oh, I see what you're asking. So yes, I now design my own covers. I do that. But if I'm really like I need a break, I'll go to like getcovers.com, and they do a really decent job.
Okay.
But I'm a voice actor, yeah, so I do narrate my own audiobooks. Um, I don't like, as a rule, I don't like narrating audiobooks. They take way too long and they pay way too little. Um, it's such a slog. But I felt at one point I was like, okay, I could throw this up on ACX and cast it for someone on like a royalty share where they get paid if the book sells. I felt I was really in error because if I gave it to them and they did a bad job, I would feel so remiss over that. Only I know how my story is supposed to sound. Only I know how my characters sound in my head. And man, when I killed off a character in volume 1, I'm bawling. When I edited it, I'm bawling. When you listen to the audiobook, when that character dies, that's me bawling in the studio because I loved that character. And in 2 and in 0, when I killed off these precious characters, I'm bawling. And that you're not going to get that from a a removed, detached, hired narrator.
Okay, so maybe ACX isn't the way to go because I have had that experience too. But I've also had the experience where I found real people narrators that did were just as invested in my story. So I'll put that out
That's
there.
great.
My
That's
narrators are
awesome.
amazing. So if you need references, I can always give them to you.
Yeah, that's great. Man, I made the mistake. My latest one, Blood Echoes, is a horror novel I released on the 18th, and I cast it on ACX. The audition came in, several. One I really liked. She sounded like she nailed the kind of the weary, like beleaguered, motherly voice, tired that I wanted. And I got the audition. I said she was great. I talked to her a little bit. I cast her, and then she said the 15-minute checkpoint, and it's totally different from the
Ah,
audition.
huh.
And I went, what? I knew right away this is an AI voice. I knew right
Oh.
away. And I talked back and forth with them, and I could tell kindly. They always use the word kindly. Kindly extend the 45-minute, whatever they said. But who says that? Who talks like that? And the intonation wasn't the same. They took way too long because they needed to generate it and perfect it. And I don't want to use an AI voice for my book.
I wouldn't have
So,
never have even thought about people faking an audiobook. Yeah, that wouldn't have even entered my mind. I'm so naive about things most of the time. When I first got on ACX, this was like 7 years ago, probably when I was first trying to get audiobook narrators. But so I don't even that I mean AI wasn't as much of a thing then, but yeah, so interesting. Well, I'm sorry you had that
there,
experience, but hopefully moving on, right?
yeah, I had to. It was tough backing that process out on ACX. The process wasn't smooth, and it should have been. Um, but yeah, it's really dumb. They're just everywhere. The charlatans in Nigerian boiler rooms, they are everywhere. And they've so infiltrated the authoring industry with AI slop and products. But I got a great gal right now. She's a little bit of a spring chicken in the voiceover world, but I love her tone, I love her sound and her intonation of everything. So she's doing just fine, and we'll be done. I don't know, maybe next week, week prior, or week after.
Oh, that's so exciting. So is yeah, the in series wrapped up now? Are all your series wrapped up? Are you like starting something new or what's happening next?
Yeah, I've got 5 series now. One is right here, which is a kids book, kids picture book series. One is the Talisman. Another one, I don't know if it's right behind me or not, but oh, it is actually. I have a new kids picture book series that I just published. It's called the Super Ordinary Heroes series. And what a surprise. My own kids are the stars in those books. I don't know how that happened. Um, and then Dissonance and The End. So that's 5. I did a standalone horror novel, Blood Echoes, and I'm working on a standalone horror novel, The Darkness Within. I I think I know that I want to do a Tolkien tribute fantasy novel, but I feel I just every time I circle back to it, I'm like, there's just no way. I'm so not J.R.R. Tolkien, but I want to pay tribute to him and thank him by writing a fantasy novel. But I think I'm going to dive headlong when I'm finished with The Darkness Within into a new series called Carbon, which deals with cybernetics and AI, and that's this one over here.
Fun. Well, yeah, you just seem like you have all these ideas and obviously are very savvy and all things books and publishing. So I'm super impressed. And kudos. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing
Thank
the
you.
number of books you've written, and so thank you for being here. Tell everyone where we can find you in your books.
Yeah, so you can go to authoraaronryan.com. I want to be clear, it's not awfulaaronryan.com. It's authoraaronryan.com. And so you go there, you'll find all the links to the subsites for the Dissonance series and the End and Talisman. You'll also find all the socials, the links there. Or you can go to authoraaronryangroup.com, which is a private and exclusive Facebook group. It is, if you're an author or a creator, you'll find tips there, video tips, and encouragement and affirmation. You'll find discount codes, giveaways. I'm doing one right
Oh,
now. You'll find news on the screenplay adaptations I've got pitching to streaming networks and winning awards. And and upcoming releases and appearances. So my own little group, I find a lot more engagement in a group rather than a Facebook page.
Okay. Yeah. Those are fun. So awesome. Thank you for being here, Aaron. And we will definitely have you back when you publish your next novel.
Which will be tomorrow. I'm just kidding. I go fast.
It will be tomorrow. Fast. You're gonna write it tonight and publish it tomorrow. I'm sure Amazon will put it right through for you.
They'll be like, who is this guy? No, seriously, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Finding the Magic podcast. I'm your host, author and podcaster Tricia Copeland, and I love getting behind the scenes. If you like the podcast, make sure to subscribe and stop in each week to discover new authors and books. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep finding the magic.